You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap. You may know me from ESPN's Outside the Lines and Sports Center. What you probably don't know is that I've suffered from Crohn's disease for almost 20 years. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America's Take Steps, Be Heard walk program is the largest national walk program dedicated to raising funds and awareness to combat Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. To learn more about how you can help and to find a walk site near you, please visit www.cctakesteps.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
LA Times does it again. A judge rules that Trump may have incited violence. D.C. to require, you won't believe what the D.C. area is requiring child care providers to do and provide now. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Plus, what's happening in China and Russia, because Z is going to be here this week. Plus, a whole lot more coming up, so stay tuned.
And now, live from the bunkerized studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, is Rod Eccles.
Good Monday morning to you all. This is Welcome to Monday, April number 3 in the year of our Lord 2017. Something is happening out there this morning. I don't know what, but we've already had a number of people already calling into the program even before the program started. So we're going to get to y'all pretty quick here. So really quick. This morning it is Monday. Call-in number 603-835-3226 should you wish to join in on the conversation. It is Monday. We've gotten past April Fool's Day. I think Google had a joke. Was it because what is that Google thing? Okay, Google. I don't know what they call it. I see the commercials and you say, okay, Google, and you say whatever you want to ask it or tell it, whatever. But they also came up with the joke was that they were doing an outdoor version called the Gnome. Now, it was actually kind of creepy. Now, I know they intended it to be funny. But two things. One, it was creepy. And two, it could actually be real. I mean, technology is there for this thing to be real, which is why it's creepy. It wouldn't be so creepy if we weren't anywhere near such technology capability yet. But since we are definitely there, and these things are now, I don't know if I want one. You know, what is it? The Echo, Amazon Echo, and there's a whole bunch of them out there now. And we're starting to see, especially the ones that are tied to Amazon, is starting to hear stories about people inadvertently ordering tons of stuff. It just shows up at their door. It really is kind of surreal. Now you have a bunch of people out there talking about artificial intelligence, AI, taking over. And we're at the beginning of this stuff. I've sounded the warning sirens over this. Not that it's inadvertent. In and of itself, it's not bad technology. But we as human beings, we tend to move too damn fast before we figure out all the safeguards, how to actually utilize it properly. We just jump into and start having all this stuff be a part of our lives. And then when things start going wrong, then we start to try to figure out how to deal with it. The problem is you get a lot of people, even in the political realm, from both sides of the Atlantic, who are sounding now. If these people are sounding the warning bells over this, you got to know that there's something else going on. It's not as benign as some people would have you believe. There is something else going on. If you've gotten people from all walks of life, including certain politicians, who are sounding the warning sirens over AI, artificial intelligence, and how it is creeping into our lives. Well, it's not even creeping. It's just busting down the door into our lives. It's amazing. And it has me taking notice, really. Now, I'm not usually afraid of technology. But folks, as I have mentioned before, this is something totally different. This is not the automobile all of a sudden taking over transportation needs. This is something completely different. We are creating machines that think faster, not necessarily smarter than humans, but think faster than humans. And we're creating these machines that are becoming more and more humanized. And we're putting them in places where technology has never been before on a regular basis. I mean, everything now is being hooked up to the internet. Everything's in it. Even your refrigerator and toaster can now be hooked up to the internet, or at least to your home service system. And there are lots of people that are getting these, creating smart houses, not building them from scratch. Making your own smart house now is really cheap. And you can do it in modular succession. You could change all your lights for a few $100s, or to all be automatic and to react to sound and motion. And that's just your lights. Now you start adding all this other stuff to controlling things and reminding you of things, and being able to get to your, like, even your heating and air conditioning and your cooling system from your cell phone. I mean, all this stuff is now being interconnected and wired. And a lot of people don't even think twice about it. I do. I'm thinking 3 times about doing some of this stuff, simply because we don't know where this technology is going yet. We really don't. I don't own a drone. I think drones are kind of cool. I wouldn't mind having one for some of the wonderful footage. I mean, you got drones now out there that actually follow you. I mean, have you seen the commercials for those things? Actually work. A couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't call him a friend, but an acquaintance of mine actually got one of these things, and he was demonstrating it. And I thought it was kind of cool on one end, but it was kind of creepy on the other end, because now you have a device that is able to follow your every move. It is tied to you. It's weird. Your every moment can now be recorded for as long as the battery holds out on that drone. And the drone is not very big that he's got. So you could say it's kind of unobtrusive, but it was kind of weird how this, he was demonstrating how this thing would just follow him. It was kind of surreal. I don't know. To me, that just... We haven't figured out how to utilize this stuff yet properly to our benefit without there being huge upside negatives to this. And not that, again, I'm not afraid of technology. I'm one of those I love technology. I think technology can be a boon, and some of these gadgets are really, really cool. I'm into James Bond gadgets too. I mean, this stuff is cool. But at the same time, when you start creating things that are quote-unquote smart, well, now you got to slow down and try to figure out how to really utilize this stuff safely. Because there are people who are going to be able to hack this stuff. There are going to be people using this stuff for nefarious means. Evidently, there was a terrorist attack in Russia this morning. Don't have all the full details, but there were 2 explosions at St. Petersburg, in their mass transit system. Now we're talking about being able to fly. You don't even need to be there. You're talking about flying in drones. You got some people that are saying that the Atlanta overpass fire was not actually an accidental fire, but a terrorist act. Again, the information is still not confirmed. I'm just reporting it. And some of this stuff is not surprising. It's really not. If the Atlanta thing actually turns out to be a terrorist attack, would not be surprising. Look, yeah. I mean, you can get all kinds of information on the web now. So, and now you have police departments. You have Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, who are thinking about and looking at lethal weaponizing police drones. Well, hello, if you think that there's already tons and tons of videos on how to weaponize your own drone, homemade weaponize. I mean, if you could just go to YouTube, you can find people doing this. I mean, some people have been, ironically, I know of a video of somebody in Connecticut weaponizing their drone, and the authorities obviously saw it, and they arrested the person. I don't know what they could possibly charge him with, but they arrested the person, and now the police departments in Connecticut are thinking, hey, maybe he's onto something. We should weaponize our police drones. Can you imagine having Just think of where this could go. Now you can say this is good or bad. You have drones that follow you, right? You have the technology of drones that can follow you. We have the technology to lethal weaponize even smaller drones, not just the big ones, that are run by the military, but smaller ones, your household variety. Imagine having one or two. You're a soldier, and you have one or two of these drones attached to you that follow you around. Do you know how lethal you could be as a soldier? Now, some people say that's a bad idea, and some people say that's a good idea. The point is that if you can do that, if that can be done, and evidently it can be done, what happens if it gets in the wrong hands? Just saying. How do we deal with that? Has anybody thought of that? No, of course not. At least not our politicians. Just a warn. I'm not afraid of technology. I got to reiterate that because there are going to be tons and tons of people who say, "Oh, Rod's out there scared. He wants to go back to the dark ages. He's afraid." No, I love technology. I embrace it. I just think that we have to really think about what good is a particular type of technology going to be to us, and how is it going to be good for us before we start deploying it and then figuring it out later. Cars are one thing. But now we're talking about stuff that is highly technical and potentially highly dangerous. And it's a little too late when people start dying from this stuff, really, to start trying to figure it out. Anyway, that went a little bit longer. Let's bring on a caller really quick. 731, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. You're first up.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Oh, I'm good. You were talking about artificial intelligence. I just want to make a comment about that. I believe this is just my opinion, but I believe that we're way more advanced than we can even imagine.
Oh, yeah.
I think they can follow us anywhere at any time. I think they can coordinate and they call the shots and that's why I think technology, yes, it's great, but it's being used against us. And it should, I think, in my understanding, in the development of all these great things we have, they're not using it on the would-be terrorists. They're using it on us. And I believe this all goes back to why we can't get anything done in the government. I mean, think about it. If they watch every move you and I make, they're watching every move they make. And we all make mistakes or whatever, and I believe that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this is a lot of the reason that nothing is getting done because, people made mistakes, and I believe it's coming back to them. They say, if you vote this way, I'm going to throw this out there. So, yeah, we have to think about how all these smart people are developing all these smart things. And, I don't want my home.
Think about this for a second. If you have a drone that can follow you, that's tied into you, and let's say you have it weaponized as a bodyguard drone, what if somebody hacks it? It and turns that drone against you. You can't get away from the drone. It's going to come after you. I'm just, maybe I watch too many science fiction movies, but that's reality. The reality, it's going to be reality. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is. So, I mean, look, they've already demonstrated numerous times how they could hack your automobile and take it over. And even and now, it's just, these cars that can drive themselves a little bit. Has anybody seen those videos? The cars that can, right now we have cars that can back themselves up, park themselves. Well, people have hacked these things while you're driving.
And I just bought a 1995 car so that when I want to be in private, I can. And I don't have to worry about somebody turning it off. I'm sorry, call me paranoid, but I think at the end of the day, some of my friends are going to be like, where is she? I want to ride. Because I'm here to tell you that this is a problem. And, we have cameras. Think about Interstate 85 in Atlanta. Think about it. Didn't we just have a TV show that the guy that won it, trying to evade the authorities, he's actually from my town. My daughter actually knows him. you know what? Let me just tell you, you have your picture everywhere. So, how does a crack smoking guy burn up an interstate for it to collapse? I'm sorry, I don't buy that story. And and naming Basil with that, I'm sorry. I don't.
Well, if that is actually what happened, then you have to start thinking about the construction of the overpass. I mean, really, either way you look at it, if this was done on purpose, okay, understandable. If it happened by accident, okay, then we're in trouble. There's construction problems there. And don't tell me that well, nobody can do that with construction. Remember when all that Hurricane Andrew stuff came to light, and all those houses that were, you had government inspecting, government people coming in and inspecting all those houses, and then we found out they were all bribed and they all got paid off, and the construction, they cut corners everywhere, which is why there was such heavy destruction after during Hurricane Andrew. All those houses were flat. So don't tell me, and we've had problems here in Boston with the Big Dig, the tunnel that goes under Boston when they buried 93 going through Boston. We've had these ceiling panels fall and kill people, and found out that they had to go back and reattach just about all of those heavy items because of faulty construction. People were cutting corners. So don't tell me this stuff can't happen. So there's one of two things. Either it really was a terrorist attack that they're covering up, or if it really was an accident from some, dope-smoking homeless person, then there was huge, massive cutting of corners in the construction of this overpass. Either one of them is not good. Either one of those reasons is not good.
And I actually, somebody forwarded me an actual photo of the fire, and it did not look like a fire that someone could start with something placed over a shopping cart. I'm sorry, I'm not any type of engineer, but you know what? God gave me eyes and a brain, and I could be wrong, but it looks mighty suspicious, and people need to be thinking about this because there's a lot. Think about that road. Think about how many. That's a major intersection. Think about the. How that translates into transportation issues for food.
I have been to Atlanta, and it's traffic congestion in Atlanta is horrendous, and that is just going to exponentially make it worse.
Well, and I don't know, what that. I would hate to live there, but it looked that fire. I promise you, burn leaves and burn things at a cabin we have. We couldn't start a fire like that with gasoline. I mean, I just haven't ever seen anything that can cause a structure like that, to collapse. And think about all the weight on the bridge. I mean, it just doesn't seem feasible. And I do hope that our media gets out there and someone looks at this, because you know what? Why are they this should be like a major issue, and it's because this is what affects us. This is what affects us every day, folks. And this really goes on.
I hate to cut you short, my dear, but I have to run for a hard break here.
Okay, thank you. Good day.
Bye bye. We'll be back, folks. Don't go away.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Out there, folks, that they would be able to do this, that they can do this on, well, with the Atlanta thing. Now, imagine if you had control of a drone that could do this for you. Just imagine if you had a drone. You don't even have to be there now. I know this is probably, some government officials probably listening to this and thinking, yeah, we need to start following Rod around. But look, I don't come to think of this stuff first. I really don't. I mean, we know that people are inventing, these drones can be made at home, folks. Now, talk about miniature drones being made at home. What if somebody, or people with a little bit more money and expertise, such as Al-Qaeda or ISIS, starts developing smaller drones and start flying these things everywhere with explosive attached? It can be frightening. Again, because we haven't figured out, one, how to regulate these things, not that I want over-regulation of it, and two, how to counter this stuff. We're just starting to use it without being able to detect or be able to counter this stuff effectively, and it's kind of scary. Now, what happens if machines start building machines? We're kind of already doing that, right? We have robots building cars. So what if we have machines, AI machines, actually building AI machines? I know some of you are thinking, oh, Rod, now you're thinking of all those wonderful movies. Yeah, well, sometimes life imitates art, does it not?
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Boy, it looks like some other people are wanting to weigh in. Let's go to the phones really quick. 781, there they go. Okay. 781, that's in my neck of the wood. Call back 781. Want to hear what somebody... That's Boston area, I think. Or is that out west? It's Massachusetts. So 781, call back if you got disconnected. I didn't disconnect you, just so you know. So go ahead, call back. If you want to talk about the AI stuff or the Atlanta stuff or the Boston, people being killed on the Boston Big Dig, driving through it. That is. It was kind of shocking to a lot of. Now understand that we spent. I don't know, what did that go over? That went over budget. The Boston Big Dig, way over budget. I think the original price tag was somewhere south of $10 billion for the entire project, but it went way north of that. It was, I think it was like 40 or $50 billion was the final price tag on that. And then there was a lot of corruption and all kinds of stuff that were in accounting fiascos that were going on through that. It took like 10 or 15 years for the whole project from start to finish. And there were a number of reasons for it. If you saw the infrastructure in Boston, it was like spaghetti. And infrastructure, I mean all the pipes and all the gas lines and oil pipelines and that kind of thing, as well as the communication lines that were underground. It was it was like a can of worms. And they actually had to go in there before they actually started digging for this thing and trying to organize and reroute a lot of that stuff. And if you see a picture, if you can look at an aerial picture of Boston before the Big Dig versus after the Big Dig, where the generalized area was not just the 93 corridor that was affected above ground, but it was a large surface area that was affected, not because they actually had, because of the digging, but because of all the high-rise towers that are in that area, and office and residential, and they had to reroute streets as best they could in certain areas, as well as reroute all those pipelines and everything else to go around, over, through, whatever, the tunnel. So it took over 10 years for them to do this, to build this thing, and it's an engineering marvel, especially considering where it is, because Boston actually, if you actually look at some colonial era maps of Boston, is nothing more. It's like Venice. Boston is really like Venice, Italy. Boston is a series of islands that have been connected through landfill over the centuries. Over the past 200 years, they have filled in a lot of what were individual islands, basically, with a lot of swamp area. The Back Bay used to be swamp area, basically, and that got filled in. It was marshy, and it stunk, I suppose, what they said. It's historical documents talk about the smell at certain times of the year is coming, some certain times of the year coming from the Back Bay and the Fens area, and they filled that all in to get rid of that smell. So Boston is built on a series of islands and landfill. So the water table is fairly high. So building a tunnel is not exactly the smartest thing you can do. In the you got to be able to mitigate all that water, and that was another engineering marvel of how they were able to seal these tunnels and mitigate all that water. But and the tunnel is very dry. It does not appear to leak at all, at least not yet. But as they were building this thing, you had people saying, you know what, this thing is going to be obsolete before it's finished. Because it was built in order to alleviate traffic. And the engineers in the Boston Big Dig, they actually went to Atlanta to see how Atlanta handled its growing traffic problem. Now, if you've ever driven in Atlanta, and I have, it's a nightmare at rush hour. It is, and they spent, the equivalent of billions and billions of dollars trying to upgrade their roadways and tunnel system and overpasses and that kind of stuff in Atlanta. But it hasn't. I can imagine. I guess you can just say, well, look, guess how bad it would be if they never did anything. It would be horrendous. It's bad enough now. But the big dig in Boston has already fulfilled what they said it would. It's basically obsolete. Traffic during rush hour in that traffic corridor all around Boston still is just a nightmare. Morning rush hour, evening rush hour, it's a nightmare. It really is. And there's really nothing else that we can do about it. You can't make roads bigger and wider. There's just no place to expand them. So we have to think of other ways. And hey, it's the same. This is not unique of American roadways. This is countries all over the world that are growing. Their cities are having these problems, traffic snarls. And Dubai is actually moving ahead with a way to mitigate that problem, but they're going to transfer the problem from the roadways to the airways as they, plan on by 2020, 2025, between 2025? Fairly soon, they're expecting to start launching, taxi drones, basically. And these drones are going to fly, human beings, 1 and 2 people at a time. Basically at first, from places like the airports and other major transportation areas to, area hotels and things like that. But they're going to okay, let's get the traffic off the ground and put it in the air. Well, that's not a nightmare waiting to happen. But good luck. There are a lot of people, a lot of foreigners moving to Dubai. I don't know why. What is it about Dubai that is attracting foreigners, especially from? I guess Dubai has a very large population of Southeast Asianers, like Thai people and Filipino, are moving. Jobs are there, as well as there's a lot of English, second language English people that are moved to Dubai, like Italians, and as I understand, there's a large Dutch population in Dubai. I don't know why. I don't understand why people want to move to the desert, but they do. Evidently, they do. So I don't. Hell, if anything, if I'm going to abandon the U.S. of A., as I've told people, I'm moving to Iceland. No, the climate sucks. For what I want for climate, but you know what? It's not an island paradise, but let me tell you something. It appears, the more I look into Iceland, the more I believe that eventually, if we ever get to the Atlas Shrugged type of scenario in real life, John Galt, that type of thing, I think it would happen in Iceland. I think the John Galt Island would be Iceland. They just have that sort of air about them, and there's not a lot of people there. You're looking at a country of less than 400,000 people. And by the way, Iceland is a huge manufacturer of aluminum. Yeah, I mean, there are aluminum plants like you would not believe. That's why they have to build all these hydroelectric plants and geothermal plants, is to power because it takes a lot of electricity, a lot of energy to make aluminum, the way we currently do it. And what I think Iceland they produce 7 times the electricity that its citizens need to live. So in other words, all that extra electricity goes towards the aluminum industry that has moved to Iceland because of cheap electricity. I mean, it is wicked cheap for electricity there, simply because of how they do it. And it's all green. Geothermal and hydroelectric. It's all green. They do not have. I mean, they have some backup systems that are fuel, diesel powered and heating oil powered. But other than that, it's that's backup stuff. Iceland, as far as energy producing for electricity, is a green island. Again, it's not something that's going to work everywhere in more largely populated nations like the USA, we can't dam every single freaking river. It is what it is, folks. But Iceland could be a wonderful. Now, I don't even know if they would allow people to move to Iceland, to tell you the truth, to immigrate. You can come visit, but they probably say come visit, you just can't live here. Yeah, that might be the case. I don't know. I may be foiled by the Icelandic government from being precluded from actually calling it my home, but if I ever needed to. But I'm not abandoning the U.S. of A. anytime soon. No way. I'm staying right here and fighting till I can fight no more. And if it ever gets to the point where it looks like all is lost, then yeah, I will escape to Iceland if I can. If not, we'll just call it a day. And hopefully get reincarnated someplace else if you believe in reincarnation. The Central Florida Post. Have you heard about this? I think I brought this story to you a couple of weeks ago. Last week, a Central Florida Post has been labeled as fake news by the fake news, by the way, just so you know. So the Central Florida Post, centralfloridapost.com, they broke a national story about Marshall Polston being suspended by Rollins College for disagreeing with his Muslim professor. Yes, his Muslim professor was throwing down on Christians about the realities and the truth behind Easter and Jesus, the crucifixion of Jesus. And, this professor, she was taking a very opposing view to Christian views on. Now, keep in mind, folks, Islam came along centuries after Christianity, after Christ appeared. Centuries, and even more centuries after Judaism first appeared. So, the new major religion on the block, if you will, is trying to rewrite the religious historical document of Christ. Now, religious history speaking, the Jew and the Christian, they have the same history on this. They just differ on the way they interpret that history. Jews acknowledge Jesus, but not as the Christ, but as a prophet. Even Islam acknowledges Christ having existed, but again, they also view him as a prophet. And they view Jesus as a minor prophet on a positive scale, where Jews believe him to be a prophet of heresy. That's just the way it is. And of course, Christians obviously believe that he wasn't a prophet. He was actually, or is actually, the Christ child. But, because we're coming up on Easter. So this student took his professor to task, and the professor, as it turns out, the college did what they call a thorough investigation. They actually issued a statement. They reinstated, because they suspended the student because the professor said that the student threatened her. And after an investigation, it came out that the professor lied. The student never threatened the professor. And the professor, for whatever reason, unfairly discounted one of his grades in this class. And they've reinstated the student. I don't know if he got his grade back or fixed or repaired or what have you. But they're reporting that look, I mean, folks, you have people that are trying. The takedown of the West and the takedown of the United States is not just on a quote-unquote military basis. You have to understand that there are people out there that want to destroy the very fabric of the foundation of Western civilization. And like it or not, I don't care if you're atheist or agnostic or what have you, the very foundation of Western civilization is based on Christianity. That is, I'm sorry, but it is. The very foundation of modern society in the West is based on Christianity. Plain and simple. So if you tear down Christianity and its cousin Judaism, then you tear down the very fabric of how the West is built and run and how people live on a daily basis. So if you attack that very foundation, you can cause everything around it to crumble. You can attack people's bridges and buildings, and people get very, very adamant about protecting that stuff, and they get pumped up, and they'll go to war over to protect it. But if you actually tear down that's not the foundation. All those, the infrastructure and all, that's built on top of the foundation. And the foundation is the religion of Judeo-Christian ethic and belief. If you tear that down, you tear down and you totally destroy our society. You do. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be chaos, but if you tear it down and you eliminate it, you can replace it with anything you want. And a lot of that stuff is not necessarily good, folks. It's not good what they want to replace it with. But who am I? I'm just a guy that lives in northern New England. What the hell do I know, right?
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Call Rod now. 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
And so the LA Times is at it again. Now, nobody ever accused the LA Times of being a huge Donald Trump fan. They're not. But a lot of people have labeled the LA Times as being fake news. Didn't President Trump actually call them out too? I know he called out the New York Times. Did he not call it the LA Times as well? Well, they have an op-ed piece talking, and the title of it is Our Dishonest President. And as I'm reading this thing, I'm thinking, these people are just so off the deep end. It's ridiculous. But it begins, it was no secret during the campaign that Donald Trump was a narcissist and a demagogue who used fear and dishonesty to appeal to the worst in American voters. So you voting for Trump is because he appealed to the worst in you, according to the erudite LA Times. Now, the LA Times called him unprepared and unsuited for the job he was seeking and said his election would be a catastrophe. Oh, unlike that, the 8-year catastrophe of Barack Obama. And look, we're just starting. We're feeling the effects of that catastrophe big time, and yet they want to double down on that catastrophe and say that, oh, it was great. The best time in American history was during Obama. Really? There is not one single economic or social nothing. There's not a single measure, not an economic or social measurement that shows that during Obama it was the best of times. There are tons of even government stats on economics and social and in social areas that it was one of the worst eras of American history. But hey, they're still believing that it was great. Nothing prepared for the magnitude of the train wreck that is Trump. Like millions of other Americans, we clung to a slim hope that the new president would turn out to be all noise and no bluster. And of course, they are upset that the president is actually living up and trying to fulfill his promises. Because hey, the LA Times is just like a lot of these other liberal lamestream media outlets. They all believe, as we know to be fact, that most politicians will promise you the moon and then not even try to even fulfill the rocket ship to get to the moon in their promises. Their promises are moot. They're just a way to get elected, and they do absolutely zero, nothing, nada, if anything at all. The very least that they can possibly do to try to fulfill any of those promises. And most of the time, we get upset as voters because we fall for it every single time when we elect these people. Oh, we'll promise you the moon, and then they don't even pick up a shovel and dig some dirt to build the rocket ship launch pad to give us the moon. They don't do anything. And so this is what the LA Times and other lamestream media outlets are used to. Non-promises fulfilled. But this time, Trump is fulfilling his promises, and they're all aghast. They're all,
America is America because it is so American. The children, they are the future of children, and she loves the children. Diversity is diverse when diversity is diversified. For a future you can see, for a future that brings with it all the hopes of tomorrow. By doing everything we did yesterday, we need a leader, we need a champion, we need her.
Vote for me! It's enough now! Give me it! It's mine! I want it! Just give me it! I want it now!
Stop asking questions and just give it to her already. Or you're a sexist, racist.
Paid for by criminals and idiots for Hillary Clinton, because let's face it, you'd have to be one or the other to vote for this complete monster.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Coming up, we still have a judge may have ruled that Trump may have incited violence. Yeah, you're not going to believe this story. Plus more on the LA Times dishonest editorial of the president and what's happening in China and Russia that may affect us here in the U.S. of A. That and so much more still coming up. So pay attention and stay tuned.
And now, live from the bunkerized studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, is Rod Eccles.
Welcome back. 603-835-3226 is the call-in number. Should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show on this Monday morning. Monday it is, April the 3rd in the year of our Lord 2017. As we soldier along and soldier on. And yes, welcome especially to all you wonderful ecclesiastites and liberty lovers across the globe. Glad y'all are here as well. This LA Times, it's an op-ed piece, folks. Obviously. And it is... they talk about Donald Trump being dishonest. These people in the lamestream media are dishonest to the core. Sean Hannity is correct when he says that, journalism is dead. And understand that even when it comes to op-ed pieces, and this gives you an idea of where the editorial slant is for a news publication, is if you want to find out what the editorial or what the slant or beliefs is of a particular publication, if they have an editorial section that is written by staffers, or even just written in by people, regular readers, you can get a very good accurate sense of the direction in which they lean simply by the editorials. And the actuality is, even if it's, I know you're probably saying, well, Rod, how can you tell if their editorial section is only written by the readers? Well, that's very easy because you can see what they print. If they're printing mostly left-leaning views, then you know that that's a left-leaning newspaper because they're not going to print stuff that goes against their own personal beliefs, at least not a majority of it. They're going to print a majority of this. And people who actually write in tend to actually read the publication. And if you've got a bunch of left-leaning liberal idiots out there reading the publication and writing in, then you know that they're not going to, left-leaners are not going to typically read right-leaning publications. They're not. They're just not. Because it upsets their self-sensibility, if you will. Because leftists snowflakes are very sensitive. They don't like reading stuff that's going to upset them. And after all, you can't shout down a newspaper. You can shout down and try to keep conservative or right-leaning speakers from getting their message out vocally. But if it's a printed news publication, you can't shout that down. So they don't even bother with it because they don't have. I'm going to say this. The left doesn't have the mental capacity or logic in their corner when it comes to arguing their positions. They have no position to argue, so the only thing they can do is try to keep you from expressing your position. That's the truth. And I see this all the time, and they will turn to name calling quicker than you can snap your finger, and they do it more often than anybody else. I don't care if you're a centrist or if you're right leaning. I don't care if you're an anarchist. These people will turn to name calling and degrade the conversation to such a level so fast that sometimes it makes some people's head spins. But, I've been at this long enough to know, and I know the tactics of the left, that kind of stuff doesn't work on me. And they often try to get you off topic. And I often indulge them with that kind of stuff. Let them think that they're leading me astray and off topic. And then I'll swerve it back on them suddenly, and they're lost. Because they believe that they have done, that is their duty. That is their weapon of choice, and their tactic is to try to obfuscate and get you off topic. Because they can't argue on the topic. They shoot everything they got in the first couple of lines, or the first few words they say, and then that's it. That's all they got. There's nothing else to back up their argument. So they have to try to change the topic, and they'll try to get you off topic every single time. And I let them go, start traveling down that road thinking that they're getting somewhere. And the reality is that I bring it back on them, and they're totally lost. They don't know what to do because they thought they had put that issue or the original topic to bed, and that they were taking you down some other road that they wanted to take you down. And then you just bring it back on them, kind of like a snap. You snap back, and they don't know what to do with it. They do not know what to do. So you have this LA Times article, or op-ed piece, not an article. And they're scared to death. I mean, they've written it. It is impossible to know where his presidency will lead or how much damage he will do to our nation. And the LA Times, in the editorial, in the editorial, if you're reading it online, they have actually made that a pull quote, and they want you to share it. Let me reread this. They have it set up so you can easily tweet that quote. It is impossible to know where his presidency will lead or how much damage he will do to our nation. Referring to President Trump. Now, what they consider to be damage, now, first of all, you got to understand what these people consider to be damage. What they consider to be damage is actually repair. Now, I, for the life of me, cannot understand why somebody would want to keep, even if it's simply just to keep government in control of everything. If it doesn't work or really doesn't help people, why the hell would you want to keep it? If the numbers are in, if the truth is known that, say, for instance, Obamacare is causing so many people to really not have health care anymore, health insurance, why would you want to keep that law? If it's not helping, if it's harming more people than it helps, why would you want to keep it? I understand the goal behind this. They want single payer. I get that. But on the road to getting there, you want to harm and possibly maim and injure and kill people to get there? Well, according to the left, yes, that's exactly what they want. The left likes death and destruction so long as it's on their terms. Abortion, fine. That kind of death and destruction, that's fine. Because it keeps our holy grail. Abortion. Eugenics. All that kind of stuff. All this evil stuff really comes from not all of it. The vast majority of it that is supported by the left is just pure evil. It is anti-human, frankly. It's anti-human. But, well, what else are you going to do with it? It is something that we have to consider and take into consideration when we're reading or listening to left-leaning news outlets. They're supporting those in the liberal trenches, and they're not even the liberal trenches. They're not getting dirty. No, they don't take baths or showers, but they're not getting dirty from being in the trenches. That's for damn sure. But they're out there strictly to obfuscate the truth so they can get their agenda. Now, this is nothing more. It's an evil agenda. Let me just put that out there. It's an evil agenda. It's an agenda that lacks personal freedom. It's an agenda that promotes total government control by a few. Not the majority, by a few. And it's an agenda of total and absolute control over everyone's life. And they will use all sorts of lies to tell you why that agenda is so good. We got to protect the environment or we're going to die. Lie, but that's what they utilize. It's a way to get control. Look, healthcare in this country is too expensive. The only way to get it is to get the cost down and to make it affordable to everyone is to have it single-payer government control. Lie, because everywhere on the planet where there's government control and centralized government and healthcare, it's worse than our system and it's extremely expensive. That goes for anything that they want to do. And why would you support something that calls for your own death and destruction as well? Unless they think that it can get them to the point where they can get total control of everything. So the left really, at their own detriment, will support Muslims and Islam, even though Muslim and Islam really calls for their death and destruction as well. But they think that they're smart enough that if the enemy of my enemy can be my friend, if they can destroy with using Islam and Muslims, if they can destroy the right, both religious and non-religious right in this country, that then they will be able to take over and appease everyone. It's just sheer stupidity, but it's evil at its core. There is no doubt or question about how evil and how stupid this is. And it is amazing how much time, money, and effort the vast majority of us has to spend in order to mitigate this evil progression of the left. We get trapped in this stuff all the time. Hey, we're told this is going to be great for the country if we just take over 1/6 to 1/3 of your economy. Let the government handle it. The government can't handle a damn thing like that. It can't. It's already proven that it can't. It's not what government is actually designed for in the entirety of human existence. Government can't do everything and be all things to all people in any type of mantra or belief system. It just can't. That's not what it's there for. It's simply because of this one thing that is innate in every human, and that is this innate desire for personal freedom. And that personal freedom can be reflected in a myriad of ways, including lifestyle choice and religion. But the left cannot let you have your own freedom like that, because then that could lead to things that they don't believe in. The earth is the goddess. That's what they would like to believe. That's what they want you to believe, and they will do everything they possibly can to force you to believe such a thing, which is why they'll come up with these ridiculous fake, phony, lopsided, and accuse somebody else of lying. I mean, this is the LA Times accuses Donald Trump of not telling the truth, of lying all the time. But how many times have we caught various people on their side in big, fat lies? I mean, Obama. How many times have we caught him lying? Hillary Clinton, how many times have we caught her lying? Well, hell, we know we've caught Bill Clinton lying. In fact, we've proven it, and he should have been prosecuted for it, let alone just impeached. Chuck Schumer, how many times have we caught Chuck Schumer in a lie? Nancy Pelosi, how many times have we caught her in a lie? You can say that politicians lie all the time, and for a majority of them, that might be true, but there is nobody who has perfected the lie to make you believe that lie is a truth, that has done it better, and it has done it more completely than the liberal left. In fact, the liberal left now has, and has for decades now, the power of the press behind them, foisting their lies upon us and telling us that those lies are the truth. And the people who are actually trying to tell us the truth, now they're the ones telling the lies. And if it's not a lie, it's just fake news. So any news outlet that is actually telling you the truth, now they're labeled fake news by the very publications and outlets that we all know promulgate and propagate fake news, like the LA Times. Call Rod now, 666-603-835-3226.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
Disclosure, let me just say that this is actually nothing new of what's happening with President Trump. We may think that it's unprecedented, the level of hatred towards this guy that is now the President of the United States. But it's not unprecedented. Might I remind people how the right sort of went batshit crazy when Obama was elected. Now, granted, from our point of view, there was some legitimacy to our fears, and those fears came to fruition. Now, as far as the left is concerned, their fears is that Trump will dismantle big government, something that the left has worked so hard for and so long for. But big government doesn't work. It's too costly. It's too painful for the average person to endure. But we have to remember that. We in the right, we legitimately so, we've been proven right. We were also very fearful of what Obama would do, and he went and did those things. So you have to understand that, there a lot of times that the left is not really talking out of their a-hole when it comes to their own fears. Their fears are justified because Trump has promised to dismantle almost every bit, at least, 70%, 75% of what they built up under Obama. And those are legit. I'll give it to them. That's a legit fear. If you are for big government and government control and government overregulation, you got a guy that says that he's going to get rid of at least 70 or 75% of it, that's a legitimate fear if you want to keep that stuff. Not going to lie about that. That is legit. But as we well know, that if he can actually accomplish getting rid of 70 or 75% of that garbage, it'll benefit even those on the left. That's what they don't seem to get.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
3226. Oh boy. Running into a few problems here, folks. 603-835-3226. That is the call-in number should you wish to join me here live. Just one of those things that happens a lot here. Get some technology issues keeps happening. We try to make sure that they don't happen, but sometimes, and it's usually something else that gets in the way. But it is what it is. It is what it is, folks. Gotta love it. Maybe not. Try not. In any case, welcome back. Indeed. The whole notion, well, now there's something else out there this is from a fear of the left, but their unadulterated wackiness, their unadulterated fear is what is leading to this. This is from the Washington Post. A democracy dies in darkness is their mantra, by the way. Really? They want to say democracy dies in darkness when they want to turn out the lights and cover the sun everywhere. They don't want the light shining on the truth anywhere. The left is full of darkness. But here's their story. A judge rules that Trump may have incited violence, and Trump again has his own mouth to blame. Now, the story actually proves why this whole notion of what this judge has just said is ridiculous. Here's how it starts out. The courts keep taking Donald Trump both seriously and literally. And the president's word choices are proving to be a real headache. Now, I guess if you only listen to part of what the president says, yeah, taking him out of context, sure, it can be a real headache for the president and his staff. But if you actually take the entirety of his statements, then how is it that it's a headache? Well, it's not. A federal judge in Kentucky is the latest to take Trump at his word when he says something controversial. Obama never said anything controversial. Bill Clinton never said anything controversial. Oh, well, George W. Bush can't say anything controversial because you just label him as educationally retarded. George W. Bush was just stupid. So you didn't even take him seriously anyway. But really, you couldn't take Bill Clinton at his word. I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. I need to get back to work for the American people. This is all stemming from a Judge David J. Hale ruling against efforts by Trump's attorneys to throw out a lawsuit accusing him of inciting violence against protesters at a March 2016 campaign rally in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, at the rally, Trump repeatedly said, "Get him out of here," talking about, these protesters that came into his rally, and they were interrupting the rally. So, according to protesters, they were shoved and punched by his supporters. Now, Trump's attorneys sought to have the case dismissed on free speech ground, arguing that he didn't intend for his supporters to use force, but Judge Hale noted that speech inciting violence is not protected by the First Amendment and ruled that there is plenty of evidence that the protesters' injuries were a direct and proximate result of Trump's words. So does that mean that everywhere, how about we start suing George Soros organizations? How about we start suing Black Lives Matter? Hey, after all, they not only hurt people, they destroyed property. How about we start suing people like Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters, who have also said similar things about, Republicans and conservatives? Take them out. Take them out. We need to take them all out. How about we start suing them? So Donald Trump says, okay, get these people out of here who are interrupting this rally, and all of a sudden that's inciting violence. Now, the Post goes on to say, at the rally, Trump repeatedly said, "Get them out," before, according to the protesters, they were shoved and punched. But they also go down, if you further read down the story, they say it is plausible that Trump's direction to get him out of here advocated the use of force. Judge Hale wrote, it was an order, an instruction, a command, the judge said. It is merely the latest example of Trump's team arguing that his controversial words shouldn't be taken literally. Now, as they say in this story as well, Trump also said, "Don't hurt them." In other words, as he's telling them to get them out, he's telling them not to use force and don't punch him, don't kick him, don't bite him, don't hurt him. But that's not being included in the judge's decision. Oh, Trump just said, well, get him out. That means violence. So all those wonderful, insightful words, how about Hillary Clinton? If get them out is inciting violence, and how about all those wonderful words that Hillary Clinton used during the campaign? How about all the wonderful words that all the Democrats have used? How about the actual violence and destruction that has taken place with these liberal groups? Where is the judge citing that? Should we not sue them all for that? Hey, I think that if you've been harmed physically, personal body physically, or your property has been harmed by all these wonderful liberals that are calling, hey, look, kill all the white people. Isn't that what some Black Lives Matter people have said? Haven't some Black Lives Matter and other liberal organizations called for the destruction of white people property? But none of them are being accused of inciting violence. Donald Trump says, get them out of here. Hey, but don't hurt them. Oh, that's inciting violence. This is in Kentucky, folks. Kentucky. This is why you cannot trust a liberal. You can't trust them to be fair and honest and objective. You cannot. Now, because if the very words of get them out of here is inciting violence, and nobody really got hurt. I mean, yeah, a few people got punched or kicked on when they were being escorted out the door. But isn't it also that if that is inciting violence, would it not also be the case and be true that the actual violence that was committed against people... Look at the inauguration. How many people got beat up on the streets of D.C. during Trump's inauguration, the day of the inauguration? Was that Donald Trump out there saying, get them people, get my supporters, beat them up, punch them, set limousines on fire? Was that Trump inciting violence? Oh, well, we have been told that, that you can't blame these people because Trump just makes them lose their minds that way. Well, we call it Trump derangement syndrome. How about Shia LaBeouf? I mean, he looked like a rabid dog. You remember that video? He will not divide us. He looked like a rabid dog. And this. We can sort of chuckle at some of this stuff, but it is highly dangerous that if we let these people get away with this kind of stuff, it basically what it is doing, it is clamping down free speech. But it's only clamping down free speech on those of us who are on the right side of the political aisle. And this has gone beyond political correctness. Now, you can say the political correctness is dead, but I'm here to tell you it's not. And it's not dead simply because we have too many people entrenched in positions of power and influence within the government who still believe in political correctness. And it's going to take some time to weed them out. We've got I have mentioned this, I have said this before, time and time again. Forget the first 100 days of the presidency of Donald J. Trump. Forget it. Is the first year is going to be hell. The first 365 days is going to be absolute and utter hell. If you think this stuff is going to go away after 100 days, you got another thing coming. These people they are looking for anything and everything. Even if it does not stick, they still try to bring it up time and time again. They still try to get you to believe that it's all on Donald Trump. Hey, Donald Trump was inciting violence. When I'm still looking for any news story out there, where by Donald Trump's words alone, a bunch of Republicans and conservatives and constitutionalists went marching in the streets, beating up police, throwing rocks at police, and blowing up cars and burning cars and destroying buildings and looting storefronts and beating up innocent people. I'm still waiting for this. I'm still waiting to see those news stories. I'm waiting to hear the news story about some Republican lost their mind and took an SUV or a tractor trailer and started plowing into people. Still waiting for those stories. But yet we see these other kinds of stories almost on a daily basis, even coming from the lamestream media, which means that they're not reporting everything, and we know they're not reporting everything, so it's far worse than we can possibly imagine. And yet, they're not being sued or taken to task for inciting violence or inciting riots. You've got liberals in this country who thinks that it's perfectly okay for a bunch of illegals, hundreds if not thousands of them, to hold rallies holding the Mexican flag in the United States, on U.S. soil, U.S. territory, in a United States state, calling for the destruction of the USA. And that's not inciting violence. But Donald Trump saying, get him out of here, but don't hurt him, is inciting violence, and he should be sued. For the love of God, where has sanity gone? These people on the left are completely and totally vapid. There is nothing real in them. Nothing. The only thing that they believe in is their own superiority. And they are, I'm not one to say that anybody's better than anybody else, but let me put it to you in terms that they can understand. The superiority of the left is vastly overrated, and it is overrated to such a point where the reality is that they're trying to cover up is that the left is absolutely and totally inferior to those of us on the right. And it is inferior for the very fact that they try to go against nature itself. Now, let's leave God out of it for 30 seconds. They're going against nature itself. The very nature of every person who was born on this planet is this natural, innate, by birth sense of liberty and freedom, that each person has the right to determine their own future and how they live. And the left does not want any part of that. The only thing that they are concerned about is control, control, control. You should not be allowed to have your own thoughts. You need to be controlled in your thoughts. This is why political correctness came about. You couldn't, not only could you not say certain things, you weren't even allowed to think it. And if your thoughts ever became verbalized, they were going to pound the hell out of you, both physically and, both literally and non-literally, figuratively. And they would lie about you in order to get their way. Hey, how about that Islamic professor who was lying about Jesus Christ and the resurrection, being taken to task by a Christian student who was then accused of being threatening violence, and the college itself, which is a left-leaning college, found that the professor lied, not the student. But yet they suspended the student before they even did their investigation. And so now we're backing this up with some liberal-appointed liberal judges all across this country who are now entering the fray in various areas of our government where they do not belong. And they're bringing cases, allowing cases to go forth by such shady evidence. Well, Trump said in his speech, get them out. But he also said, do not harm them. Oh, but that's irrelevant. Because get them out means for you in the audience out there to take those liberal protesters who never should have been in the rally in the first place. It means for you to go and punch them, kick them, and shove them, and push them, and force them out of the building. Physically accost them when Trump said, don't do that. It doesn't matter that Trump said don't do that because he already said get them out. And just by saying get them out means that you're violating their rights to be there. They have no rights to be there. But as soon as they get outside, they can shout all they want to. But if you're outside in a public space and you're shouting, or you're not even shouting, you're just trying to discuss with them from a conservative point of view, they want to shout you down, chase you off, and even have college professors calling for other students to come help her push out, even by physical force, reporters who are just reporting the news or trying to. But that's not inciting violence. Having these same students, rip the a-hole out of Berkeley in California is not inciting violence. But Donald Trump, according to this judge, by simply stating, get him out, is inciting violence, and he should be sued. You can't make this stuff up.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
3226. Welcome back. You know, the very notion that you have the very and this is something that they can't even hide. They're not even trying because it's that obvious and that bad. Is that violence has been instigated and true violence has actually been instigated and perpetrated against the American people, especially those on the right, by those who are on the left. And we've got billions of dollars of damage and looting that have taken place, all from the left, just in the past 18 months, just all from the left, not from the right, from the left, it's all over the country, not limited to any particular part of the country. It's all over the country. It's amazing to see, and now Donald Trump's the one being blamed for it. All of it. He's blamed for all of it. It's amazing. This coming out of D.C., Washington, D.C., this normally wouldn't be news, except why it's news. This is absolutely ludicrous. Washington, D.C. is going to be among the first in the nation to require college degrees. And you're thinking, ooh, Rod, college degrees. Somebody needs to get a college degree being required. Child care workers are going to need college degrees in D.C. I kid you not. This is from thereadingeagle.com. Washington, Dateline, Washington, D.C. Debbie James Dean. She's got a hyphenated last name. Graduated from high school in 1979 and has spent much of her career working in childcare. Now, she was anxious when her director at Kids R Us Learning Center in Southeast Washington told her she needed to go back to school. Now, here's a woman in her 50s. Childcare provider since 1979. She's in her 50s. She's afraid that she couldn't do it, earning less than $13 an hour. She couldn't afford textbooks, let alone college. I mean, this is not a high-paying job, folks. Even a $15 an hour minimum, if you want to go this way, the minimum wage, $15 an hour is not going to equate to a college degree. Oh, unless, of course, you make it free. She got a scholarship last summer, enrolled in her first college course, Educating the Young Child. She's one of hundreds of child care teachers in the District of Columbia who must return to school under new licensing regulations that went into effect in December for child care centers. So now, folks, you've got to have a college degree, an associate's and a bachelor's degree, in order to be a babysitter, basically. And this is for a position that's only paying you, what, anywhere from $10 to $15 an hour, depending on what part of the country you're in. Even in D.C., you're not making a whole hell of a lot of money. So I guess that the Bernie Sanders thing, trust me, folks, they're going to start doing this kind of thing in a number of professions where you're going to have some sort of licensing. And in order to get a license, you're going to have some sort of college education or classes or certificate or degree. And most people are not going to be able to afford this stuff. So what does that mean? Oh, yeah, we need to have free college tuition at state-run public schools. So everybody can go to public school and get a degree so they can get licensed. This is the dumbest thing ever. You need a degree now in order to babysit a child? Oh, it's important that you have a degree in order to take care of that 2-year-old. Because that 2-year-old needs some education, does he not? I guess they do.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever-popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Still coming up, Russia-China information. What's happening to Julian Assange? And Mexico, how is Mexico really going to pay for that wall? All that and a lot more coming up, so stay tuned.
And now, live from the bunkerized studio located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, it's Rod Eccles.
And welcome back. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. The fastest 3 hours in Internet Talk Radio is right here. Welcome back to all of you liberty lovers and ecclesiastites all across the globe. The call-in number 603-835-3226. Utilize it if you so desire. Easy to call. You just, well, I don't even think you can, don't even have to dial anymore, do you? You can just actually say the number, can't you? Or if you just have me on speed dial. You should have that number on speed. Yeah, put that number on speed dial. I'm not even going to ask you to put it at number 1. Just put it on, it's got to be one of the first 9 digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. 603-835-3226. You should put that on speed dial. I mean, do they still have speed dial? Do people still use speed dial? I don't even, I'm sure that my phone has speed dial. I don't utilize it. But you should utilize yours. Utilize your speed dial. Here it is, hour number 3 on this April number 3 in the year of our Lord in 2017. Yes, indeed. We have the stupidity out there down in D.C. about needing a degree now to babysit. What? Do you know how expensive it is going to get for childcare? Now, folks, you have to understand that there are a number of reasons behind this. Isn't to make people more qualified to babysit your kids. That's not what it's about. Not at all. Again, it's government intrusion into your life. Government. Now understand. This is just a precursor. Don't doubt me on this, folks. It is going to get expensive. Now, first of all, in order for you to get that degree, you got to go to school. Correct? You got to go to college. Now, in order for you to go to college, you got to do what? You got to pay for it. Now, knowing that these people who are in this profession do not get paid a lot. They're not getting paid $30 an hour. No, they're not. So it is not going to be affordable for any of them, for the vast majority of them, to go to college and get a degree, even if they go to their local community college. It is still going to cost hundreds of dollars per credit. So by the time, would you like to spend $10,000 on getting a bachelor's degree in child care? At least? Well, this is a move towards, we need to make college education more affordable. We need to make it free for everybody. And one of the ways that you make it free is you say, well, it's going to be cost effective if we make it free, is that you start forcing people who normally don't need a degree, you force them into school to get a degree. And we're talking about taking care, babysitting children. Why do you need a child education degree to babysit kids who are 2, 3, or 4 years old? You shouldn't need it. But also understand that by doing that, you're also going to raise the cost of childcare. Because now these people are going to be worth more than $10, $12, $15 an hour, and they're going to start pushing the $20 and $30 an hour barrier, which means what? It means that the average person is going to have a difficult time affording basic childcare, which then means what? Oh, more government programs to help people afford childcare. Now, already we've got liberal Democrats out there screaming how expensive childcare is, and that we need government programs in order to help people, especially single women, we need to be able to help them afford decent childcare. So what is childcare? Oh, put your kid in school from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Public schools. Yeah, we're going to have public schools be your childcare. So we're going to be able to take, and that's why you're going to need to have all these wonderful childcare providers who are going to have to be teachers, because they're trying to move childcare into the public school arena. Don't doubt me on this. This is nothing more than a scam on the American people, folks. Don't doubt me on this. You can call it conspiracy theory, but it's not conspiracy theory. I can just connect the dots. That's all. Look, this is what they've done in the past. All I'm doing is connecting the dots here, and the dots are lining up to force everybody, just about everybody, to send their kid to public school from sun up to sundown. So the government has your kid from sun up to sundown, indoctrinating them fully from the time that they're 2 years old all the way up through high school, and then if they choose to go to college, through college. That's what they want. And they want to indoctrinate your child. And in order to fully indoctrinate them and to overcome what you might be teaching them at home, they got to have your kid for longer periods of time at an earlier and earlier age. So you can't have regular babysitters or child care providers and some of these private child care centers and bring them into public schools if they're not teachers, because the teachers union, the NEA, won't allow it. You got to be a teacher. In order to be a teacher, what do you got to do? You got to go to college. You got to get a degree, even if it's a lame ass degree in preschool education. Educating the young child. Really? Do you really need to go to school to learn how to educate your young child? What's the best thing to do to a young child like that? How do you best educate them? Well, you interact with them on a daily basis, regularly, and not for just 2 minutes at a time, but regularly, and you read to them. You sit them down for story time. In fact, the studies have already shown that just the simple act of reading a bedtime story to your child every night will put them way ahead of the curve over children whose parents do not read to them. They comprehend better and more. They learn how to read quicker, sooner. They have a bigger vocabulary than kids who are not read to. And all that, does that take a degree? No, just read to your kid at night. The problem is that a lot of parents today can't read past the 6th or 8th grade anyway, so they have a hard time reading a stupid children's story. I get that part, but you don't need an education to read to your kid. You don't. This is all about moving in the direction of getting your child away from you. Plain and simple. Making that child a product of the state. No more, no less. That's all this is about, folks. Don't doubt me on this. You should know better by now. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, the Ecclesiastites don't doubt me. They know what I'm telling them is the truth. Because they've also learned how to connect the dots. They see what I see. Now, I'm not out in left field somewhere or right field somewhere, just trying to make this stuff up. People listen to this program on a regular. They see it, they get it, they understand it, they know what I'm saying is true. Moscow and Beijing. This is from Zero Hedge. Moscow and Beijing join forces to bypass U.S. dollar in global markets. Shift to gold trade. This is not really news. They've been doing this they've been pushing. China especially has been pushing for an anti-greenback global currency for years now. They really tried to push this forward when Obama was in office, and it's simply because the Chinese were caught manipulating their currency unfairly, and they thought, well, fine, then we just won't use the greenback, we won't use the U.S. dollar. How about we just come up with a whole new international currency? And if you think it's because China's behind globalization, no, they're not. There are two reasons why China would like to move away from the U.S. dollar as the world trading currency. One, because it harms us. And if you don't think that removing the U.S. dollar as a world trading currency, look what happened to Great Britain when they moved the pound sterling and replaced it with the greenback. Their economy was devastated. And they still haven't fully recovered. Because they went into socialism, and that prevented them from fully recovering. But they were devastated, economically speaking. Now, take what happened in England all those years ago and multiply it, probably about 100-fold, and you'll get the kind of Great Depression devastation that would happen to this country at this particular point in time if we went off the U.S. dollar being the world trade currency. We would never recover. Not unless we get our debt significantly down and our governmental spending under control. And if we get rid of a lot of this federal level social spending, then if they did that, we'd be able to survive. They have to do it now while it would be most harmful to the U.S. of A. And as far as them choosing gold, they're not going to use gold because neither one of them have enough gold to back up what they've already spent. So don't buy this notion that they're trying to shift to gold. This whole notion of going back to precious metals or precious metals types of currency, a back currency, is nothing more than a red herring. There's not enough gold on the planet to do that. There's not. Unless you want gold to be somewhere around the area of $10,000 an ounce, in which case would cause inflation to shoot through the roof, so there still wouldn't be enough gold on the planet. So they're not really trying to. This whole notion is really just trying to take down the United States and our economy, because if that were the case, we would not recover for the next 100 years. You want to talk about a decade lost in Japan with their economic policy? How about a century loss in the USA if at this juncture the world trade currency of the would be transferred from the U.S. dollar to something else? Anything else doesn't matter. It could be the I don't know. It could be something obscure like the peso of Zimbabwe. Now I know Zimbabwe's money is not a peso, but just for shits and giggles, they can switch it to that. It wouldn't matter. It would be devastating to the USA and, quite frankly, a lot of our allies, whose economy is based on the U.S. dollar. Even though they have their own, currency, the euro and the pound. Poor Ecuador. I don't know what Ecuador would do. Ecuador's national currency is the U.S. dollar. So it wouldn't just be us. It'd be the whole of Western society would be devastated economically for decades if the U.S. were to lose the world currency, trading currency. But anyway, the Russian central bank opened its first overseas office in Beijing back in the middle of March this year, marking a step forward in forging a Beijing-Moscow alliance to bypass the U.S. dollar in the global monetary system and to phase in gold-backed standard of trade. That is going to be. I'm not an economic wizard, but that is going to be dropped when it becomes too expensive, too inflationary on a gold by using a strictly gold standard for trade, because neither country has enough gold to do that. They don't. So either it means that they got to use something else, or it means war. Don't doubt me.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Bring the rain.
Ecuadorian election results seem to be dribbling in, and it looks like that Julian Assange may come out to be the big winner. Yes, if you've been following the Assange saga, then you know that he was in trouble of being evicted from the Ecuadorian embassy in England. But it looks like that he'll most likely be able to remain. Now, he's been there since 2012. He's been there 5 years, folks. It's like it's self-imposed prison. But the Ecuadorian embassy in London is likely going to be Assange's home for the foreseeable future, as the election, the presidential election between Lenin Moreno and Guillermo Lasso, has come to a dramatic down-to-the-wire finish where you have those in the know in Ecuador are saying that the more liberal Lenin Moreno and Assange supporter will win over conservative anti-Assange anti-hero Guillermo Lasso. Now, Moreno has been called the political successor to current President Rafael Correa. Or is it Correa? Correa, Correa. And you got to say it with like that. You know, when you speak in Latino, you have to say it with that type of accent. Now, he said he would allow Assange to stay, and Correa said in 2012 that he granted asylum to Assange, who hasn't left the embassy since. Now, Moreno won the presidential runoff with 51% of the vote, according to an official quick count by the National Electoral Council. Now, although Lasso was seeking a recount after 3 exit polls showed him winning by a comfortable margin, minutes earlier, a separate quick count by a respected local group said the race was a technical tie with a difference of less than 0.6 percentage points separating the two candidates. The group refrained from saying which candidate was leading until the electoral authorities made their pronouncement. Anybody want to predict there's going to be, something of a U.S. type of thing? Electoral rigging is going to be accused, and somebody cheated and had. I'm just maybe. Think about this, folks. Because the Russians like Assange, right? The Russians like Assange. For whatever reason, they say that they like Assange. And the U.S. doesn't like Assange. And they say that this whole thing of getting him extradited to Sweden is nothing more than a ploy to be able to get him extradited to the United States, where the U.S. doesn't like him. So maybe, just maybe the Russians hacked the Ecuadorian election. Just saying.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
It looks like they have found a way to get Mexico to pay for the border wall. Yeah, I mean, this is ingenious, actually. Yeah, you know, you're going to get, the critics are going to say that it's going to ensnare non-Mexicans and non-Latinos in this. But you can direct it to being, the law can be directed to just going to one particular country or to countries that pose a significant infiltration threat to the United States. I mean, basically what they are now proposing is a group of House Republicans last week introduced the first major bill to fund President Trump's border wall. The bill says that the government could collect billions of dollars by imposing a measly 2% fee on all the money Mexicans and other immigrants send back home. Yeah, we know that they do this a lot. That, you know, they come here, they work, and then they wire transfer funds back to their home country. You know, Western Union or some other method. So now you can Mexico's not going to pay for the wall, huh? So Democrats are going to be. I'm surprised that they haven't been out there, talking about how bad this is for immigrants. And they're going to use legal immigrants as a shield for this, against this. But estimates vary. But remittance from those in the U.S. to their relatives back home could top $130 billion a year. A 2% tax would net over $2 billion a year if applied to all the money, regardless of who's sending it. So $2 billion a year would pay for the wall. Now I know once we get a tax rarely goes away. The only time a tax usually goes away is if it's replaced by another tax, and even then, a lot of times, it's a new tax is added intended to replace an old tax, but the old tax somehow never gets repealed, and so that's why we end up with more taxes. It's the way it always works. But understand, this is. When the liberals tell you, when Mexico says, we're not paying for your effing wall, man. Well, yeah, I guess if the Republicans stick to their guns on this one and actually, pass any type of bill like this, I mean, seriously, they could just limit it to, money being sent to countries like, I'm sure that there would be a lot of people trying to figure out a way around that, and there would be ways around it. But that's why you probably have to impose a 2% no matter where the money's being sent. But you could limit it to monies that go to or intended to get to Mexico and Ecuador and not Ecuador, but Honduras and Guatemala and those other nations where we find an awful lot of illegals coming here. You could do that. And you could I'm sure that they'd be setting up some sort of like Cayman transfers type of thing to avoid the tax, but it's a measly 2%. I know 2% can add up for people on the lower end of the economic ladder. 2% is still could be a lot. $100. They add another $2 to it. It could be a lot. But I think it's low enough to prevent it from being highly profitable to circumvent it. Because in order to avoid paying $2 on $100. How's it going to be profitable for somebody to circumvent it? Oh, we're only going to charge you $1. I don't think there's going to be enough incentive for people to circumvent it. So that's probably a good idea to keep the tax that low. Because, as Walmart has learned over the years, you don't have to make a huge margin on an individual product. You just have to make a small margin, but even if it's really small, all you have to do is make it up on volume. And we know that there are all these wonderful, legal and illegals who send U.S. dollars back home. So if you just take a small percentage, a small portion of that from all of them, it adds up to be a lot. So that's an idea. Now, according to the GOP, those who like this bill, the bill is simple. Anyone who sends money to countries that benefit from our porous borders and illegal immigration should be responsible for providing some of the funds needed to complete the wall, said Representative Mike Rogers from Alabama. This bill keeps money in the American economy, and most importantly, it creates a funding system to build the wall. So therefore, there's 5 years. What, Trump wants to spend at least $10 billion on the wall. So in 5 years, the wall is paid for with this bill. And then of course, you have the annual upkeep of it. So $2 billion goes a long way every year. To maintain that wall. I like it. I'm the one who's into adding new taxes to the American economy, but I like this one. This makes sense, and therefore, if the bulk, the Mexican government per se won't be, well, not directly won't be paying for the wall, but indirectly Mexico would be. Now you could say, well, then Mexico will try to encourage more and more people to cross the border so they can, send more money back home to make up for the lost money. Because let's face it, Mexico uses the American dollar just as much as they use the Mexican peso. And that's a lot of money that goes into the Mexican economy on an annual basis, is the ill-gotten, illegal money that is Now, let me preface this by saying it is not, I'm not talking about drug money, so it's not illegal money in that sense. It's illegal money in the sense that the people came over here illegally and therefore have gotten jobs here illegally. Therefore, it is illegally earned money. Yeah, now, sure, they're doing legitimate and legal work. You know, they're working in the fields or construction trades or something like that. But they're doing a legal job, but they're doing it illegally. In other words, they've obviously, many of them, if they're getting paid under the table, that's one thing. But if they're not getting paid under the table and they're actually, as some people say, well, they pay taxes. Well, the only way for them to pay taxes is if they have a Social Security number. If they came here illegally, that means they had to break another law, and it's called identity theft. Whether the person be whether the person be alive or dead, and even if the Social Security had never ever been used before, which is not possible now, I think all Social Security numbers have been used at least once. There are some people that this is going to get confusing in the future as our population grows. That means that people who die, well, they still have that Social Security number attached to them. So you could have a Social Security number that once belonged to somebody who's now dead. Now it's not identity theft because the government has reassigned the number to you, but somebody else could have it too illegally. And what's going to happen is, I wonder, has anybody ever done a study as to how many people have been audited by the IRS because somebody has stolen their identity, or their Social Security number anyway, use it to get a job. So therefore, somebody who is earning $50,000 a year is only reporting the $50,000, but the IRS says that Social Security number has earned $75,000 because an illegal immigrant is using that Social Security number to get a job that's paying them $25,000 a year. So now this person is now saying, wait, I didn't earn $75,000, but the IRS is saying, well, yeah, you did. Is that going to start happening? Or is it already happening? I don't know. Has anybody done a study on that? We should look that up. See if that type of fraud is now because we know that identity theft does, in a myriad of ways, affects the legal owner of the identity. It's identity theft is not just, and it never has been, just about somebody stealing your credit and getting credit cards and cars and appliances and houses in your name without your knowledge. That actually, identity theft has been going on for forever actually, but for decades in this country as it pertains to finances. And it's because we've had this problem with illegal immigrants for decades. And we've put into place all of these laws and stipulations and roadblocks to try to snare these people, these illegals, but they've gotten smart enough to find people who will sell them or give them fake identities taken from somebody else. So here now, look, I've personally suffered from identity theft. I mean, I've relayed this story numerous times about me owning a vehicle in a city and a state that I have never even visited, let alone lived in. I don't even think I've ever flown over it in my recent travels in Indiana. I think it was a town in Indiana, someplace. I owned a car. Yeah. But I didn't find out until I started getting collection agency calls. Well, we're looking for the vehicle and you have it. And well, you do realize you're calling New Hampshire, right? Not Indiana. But I wonder if anybody out there has had their identity stolen where somebody didn't take their credit, but they just took their Social Security number and it for tax purposes so they could get a legit job and pay legit taxes, only to have it come back to the original and true identity owner from government saying, well, hey, you owe us money in back taxes. No wonder all this these tax companies are proliferating. Helping you. Do you owe back taxes? And no wonder a lot of people are saying, I can't believe that I owe that much in tax, in back taxes. Now, for that said, I wonder if, because we know that Al Sharpton and a bunch of other liberals have had, and still some of them still have, tax issues with the IRS, owing the IRS a lot of money. I wonder if any of them have had their identities stolen or their Social Security number stolen, and the money that is being tacked on to what they owe really isn't earned by them, by the original legitimate owner. Somebody needs to do a study on that one. I wonder if it's you got to be able to realize this. You got to be able to figure it out. I'm sure the IRS has numbers on this. I'm sure but do you think the IRS really cares? No, because even though our system is supposed to be, innocent until proven guilty, when it comes to the IRS, you're guilty until you can prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that you're not guilty. And even when you prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that you're not guilty, the IRS still holds you accountable. So you got to wonder, is this what's really happening out there? And if that's the case, will some of this money go towards alleviating that pain? Now, that's the other reason for, putting up roadblocks to people coming here illegally, is that not only are citizens being harmed physically and murdered by some illegal immigrants, but other illegal immigrants who are not harming people physically are harming their legal citizens' identities. And thus the government starts to move in and starts harming these people on a financial basis. And in some cases, these people might even go to jail and get locked up. Oh, am I not supposed to bring that up? Is that just a wild conspiracy theory? But I'm just going about this logically. If the Democrats are telling us that illegal immigrants pay taxes, they've said it. I didn't make that up. So if the Democrats know that some illegal immigrants pay taxes, well, how the hell are they paying taxes if they don't have a Social Security number? Now, I know they can get a driver's license in some states, but that doesn't equate to the IRS. In the IRS, what equates to the IRS is your Social Security number. That's how they put you with your taxes. So if you live in California and somebody else in California, you got two people in California with the same Social Security number, but only one person is responsible for it, then what happens to the person who's responsible who doesn't know that their Social Security number is being used by an illegal immigrant to earn to earn legitimate money? No, actually, it's not legit because they got the job illegally by breaking the law. So how do these people know? I think it's a good idea to tax this and then possibly use some of that money to help those who've also been harmed via identity theft, because identity theft and identity fraud is rampant in this country. It's rampant all over the world, but it's also very rampant here. And not just what you're not hearing the stories are that it's not just credit card fraud that people are finding out that their identity is being stolen for. Senate panel is set to vote on Gorsuch, the Supreme Court nominee. This is from the AP, and they're all aghast by this. Chuck Schumer is still out there saying we're gonna block him. I mean, I guess he's gonna. Maybe Chuck's got something up his sleeve to force the nuclear option. Because if he forces the nuclear option, then Gorsuch is definitely the next Supreme Court justice. But I don't know. You got to ask it. Is it a good idea? I kind of like for a lot of stuff there being a supermajority of 60 votes because it has stopped the Senate from passing a lot of very harmful legislation in this country. It has. It's stopped a lot. Didn't stop everything, obviously. But if we get rid of that, is it really what we want them to do? I know we want Gorsuch, but at what price do we get him? I think that is what. Why is that starting already? I think that is what Schumer wants. He wants to inflict massive harm on the American people. Serious, folks. He really does.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
A quick shout out to some of the super fans out there. Thanks to you guys for listening big time. Always there. People like LJ, Dom, CS, Kevin. Y'all are great. Thank y'all for in a should I say it in Southern hospitality. Thank y'all for tuning in on a regular basis. It is highly appreciated. One of the programs that I have, actually I started to binge a new one. I should be able to finish it up this week, is a British show called Versailles. A British show about the French. I know, it's weird. And all the Frenchmen speak with an English accent. It's strange. Good show, though. It talks about, it just goes to show you how power can be so fleeting. And I don't know why people want to do that. I mean, because you every waking moment is that you're in power. It's how to keep it and not lose your power. No wonder presidents go gray and age so fast in 4 and 8 years. I mean, it's just insane why people would want to do that. But anyway, it's about King Louis the 14th, I do believe, 13th or 14th, and the building up and building out of Versailles. But that's not what I want to talk about. One of the programs that I'm hooked on now is Into the Badlands, and again, there's this whole thing about gaining and maintaining power, and these barons, they now rule the country, or at least this part of the country that takes place in. Think of old southern plantations and things like that, because I'm guessing it's taking place in the South. But in post-apocalyptic South, it's amazing how cars and roads are still intact and working, though. But so it's sometime in not too distant future, but distant enough, I guess. I don't know. But it's quite interesting. It's full of kung fu, martial arts action. But it's also about power and how to manipulate it, how to gain it, how to keep it. And these barons, there are 5 or 6 of them that vie for all this power. And but something that you don't get to see on a regular basis is the barons actually get their hands dirty, kind of like the old medieval kings. You became king because you were a good fighter, basically. But now the barons are going to be actually getting their hands dirty and fighting, and we see that quite often. We don't see that in modern politics, where the politicians actually do the fighting. They always send our young men and now our young women to do all the fighting for them, which is, maybe we should start having boxing matches or mixed that's it. The ultimate fighting. Start putting the political leaders in the ultimate fight. Have ultimate fighting cage matches, or I'll even go for having wrestling. Professional wrestling. We can get the WWE right to have host cage matches. What do they call those? I'm not a professional wrestling fan. What do they call those battle royales? So if we want to have a world war, we just put in all the world's leaders into a cage and say, go at it. Then I don't know how you're going to regulate steroid use if you do that too. I know, because Russians have been accused of using illegal drugs and steroids for years. So I don't know. But in any case, well. Let's utilize cage fighting, and put the political leaders in there instead, right? Wouldn't that work out better? I don't know. I think so. It'd be interesting. Would people watch it on TV? And instead of taxes, you would charge, fees, the regular, because those things are expensive for tickets to watch it on pay-per-view. Just charge, go. Do you know how many people across the world would watch their leaders get their asses handed to them, beat up? They pay good money for that. To watch them legally get beaten. Well, why not? They want you to go to war for them and get killed. So why not put them in a cage and let them do they do that? Isn't that what they do with it's celebrity death match? Maybe they need to. Can they do the political death match? Can they do that? That would be interesting to see. Anyway. Out of time for today. See you tomorrow, folks. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat Apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton.